Let's examine activities, arguments, and processes. Activities typically need to pass data from one to another. When one activity starts another, it's common to pass arguments. For example, in any master detail setup, the master activity starts the detail activity and passes the ID of the item to be displayed. You could see this type of behavior in the Contacts app, all contacts to contact details. In other cases, the actual data gets sent rather than an ID number. For example, when launching the Compose email activity, you can pass a list of addresses, a subject, body text, etc. The Compose email activity reads the values and uses them to pre-populate the email editor. In this case, the send to address and subject line are pre-populated in the new email. Each app runs in its own process, contacts, mail, phone, etc., and each has its own Linux process at runtime. This is true even when apps collaborate. For example, suppose the Contacts app is running and the user touches a phone number. Android checks if the phone app is already running. If not, the phone app's process is started to make the phone call. The Android documentation indicates the rationale for this arrangement is security in stating, the Android system implements the principle of least privilege. That is, each app by default has access only to the components that it requires to do its work and no more. Each activity runs in its app's process, i.e. the process associated with the app. We just saw that each app has its own process. A corollary to this idea is that each activity runs in its app's process. For example, suppose the user is working with the Contacts app. If he only uses activities from the Contacts app, execution stays within the Contacts process. If the user touches a phone number, the phone app's process is started to host the requested phone activity. In this example, the Contacts information moves between processes from the contact details in the Contacts app process to the phone activity in the phone app process. Only simple types and serialized objects can move between activities. Object references cannot, since they cannot cross process boundaries, i.e. one process cannot access another process's address space. The multi-process execution model complicates passing arguments between activities. Android has a clear rule to deal with this. Only simple types and serialized objects can be passed as activity arguments. This rule is imposed even when launching an activity within the same app.